Something that belongs to me? What do you mean with that? Frederick asks the large reptilian curiously, unable to think of anything he might have lost in the past few days. Kroganar grunts in understanding and leans back on his seat. The last time I went to the Marlook's place to trade for some scrap parts, he told me that he heard word of a crew that found something unusual looking near the edge of the Beastlands. That got my interest, he explains, meticulously peeling off another slice of his raka and downing it in one bite. I thought of the story you told us about crash landing here on Kavir, and asked him if he could get me some images or rough descriptions, but that stingy cook told me the crew who found it is being all tight-snouted about it, claiming that they have only got time for serious offers and all that. You know him? He sighs, nodding to Dushavi. Yeah, seems about right. Scavengers, she shrugs. Frederick wants to know more about those scavengers, but Kari interrupts him by handing him a bowl of fruit and some small pieces of grilled meat. Oh, thanks. He gratefully accepts it, absent-mindedly starting to snack from it. No problem, Kiri winks. So, those scavengers? Right, Kroganar nods, continuing with his story. I asked Marlook if he could get me their contact info and, after a bit of persuasion, he finally gave it to me. Probably took a good bit of persuading him, ha, Dushavi laughs, but her jab simply gets ignored by Kroganar, who continues uninterrupted. I sent the leader of their crew a message and he replied a while later. One thing led to another, and I am now the proud owner of a large piece of scrap out in the border regions of the Beastlands, he declares, holding up his comm unit for everyone to see. Those markings look a bit familiar, don't you agree? He asks Frederick, pointing at the Helios Brown logo with a claw. I recognize them from your... how do you call it? Jacket? Jacket, he confirms. Let me take a see. Frederick leans closer and squints at the small screen, still munching on a piece of fruit as he tries to make out the details. That is Pod 1. He identifies it by its markings, trying out a grape-like fruit. Oh, wow. Things taste great. What is called? He asks Kiri. Those are Drua, she grins, glad that he likes them. I brought them the other day when we went to the market. Oh, really? Drua. Have to keep that in head. About an hour later, Frederick and Kroganar are approaching the reptilian's garage, having climbed dozens of levels of the absolutely massive structure, via either endless flights of stairs or sketchy cargo lifts that would make any Union-backed safety inspector blow a gasket. Luna decided to stay back today, secretly telling Frederick that she wants to learn more math with Dushavi instead of tagging along. She had a lot of fun learning with him, and wants to try out what Duvi had cooked up for her. Hearing that, he got all proud again and praised her for her enthusiasm, elated to see her making her first own decisions already. Phew, I definitely need to improve my stamina, Frederick jokes breathlessly, shouldering his backpack. Going up all those stairs with most of his equipment on him did a real number on him, even in the lower gravity of Kavir. No worries, it's right around that corner over there, Kroganar reassures him. Awesome. He gives him a tired thumbs up, leaning on his knees for a bit. God, my legs hurt. Are you sure you don't need help with your things? No, I am well, thanks. He waves him off, the translator dangling from his belt, parroting after him. Kroganar has been telling him a few things about Kavir L1 on the way, like the general layout of the structure and things like that, pointing out a few things here and there. Apparently, this whole place is an abandoned mining colony that has been built a very long time ago, centuries as far as the old reptilian knows, which explains the grungy and industrial vibe of the place. According to Kroganar, it is also roughly shaped like an upside-down cone, starting out hundreds of meters in diameter at the top, and progressively narrowing down to only a few dozen meters at the bottom level, which would be level 87. He also told him that the Kirkir is somewhere in the mid-40s, where most of the habitats and small-scale businesses are. Though it is pretty much impossible to say where exactly, as the entire area is a jumble of modified and added buildings that have been added over time, transforming the entire structure into something entirely different. It baffles him that someone would A. build such a place to begin with, and B. then proceed to just abandon it for some reason. But what does he know about possibly ancient alien civilizations with FTL travel, right? That outpost on the moon was abandoned too. For other reasons, though. Probably. Hopefully. Everything alright? Kroganar asks him, looking a bit concerned. Huh? He blurts at him, suddenly snapped out of his brooding. Yeah, I was just thinking about... He can't remember what he just thought of, like a sudden haze clouding his mind. Even when he tries as hard as he can to remember, his mind just comes up blank. I forgot, he tells him, slightly perplexed. I see. Kroganar dips his head in understanding. I know that feeling. Old age has its drawbacks, he chuckles, turning back to leading them to his warehouse. Weird. They continue on, and soon enough Frederick rounds the corner with Kroganar, as they finally arrive at the warehouse. This is it, the massive reptilian informs him, already unlocking the door. Wow, it looks pretty nice. You have Dushavi to thank for that. She spends a lot of time here, Kroganar tells him, vanishing into the dark interior. Really? Frederick calls out Tali from the outside, following him inside. Yes, echoes out from the metal structure, and close the door behind you. Okay. Whoa. He does not know what exactly he expected an alien garage/workshop to look like, but the atmosphere of the place reminds him of those cliché backroom, semi-illegal workshops in older car movies from the early 21st century. There are several unorganized piles of absolutely wild-looking parts and scraps. Metal shelves are lined with a jumble of spare parts. There is stuff with tarps draped over it, and a clean workbench with the equivalent of a computer is over there in a far-off corner. Right in the middle of everything rests a strange hovercraft-like looking vehicle, about as large as a semi-truck. On its rear-loading area, something the size and the rough shape of a motorcycle is securely strapped down, but he cannot tell exactly, as someone put a tarp over it. Frederick instantly feels at home in here. What is that thing? He marvels, walking up to the large vehicle as he takes in the aroma of oil and hydraulic fluid. That is our scrap loader. Scrap loader? Oh, you transport your salvage with that? Correct. Damn. Frederick whistles, impressed. How fast can it go? He calls across the workshop. Kroganar takes a heavy-looking metal box from the shelves and brings it over to the scrap sled. I see you and Dushavi think alike, he rumbles, reminiscing as he heaves the box onto the sled and pats it gently. She like go fast also? Frederick asks him. That actually manages to make the stoic old man smile. Yes, she like go fast also. That thing, he motions to the covered vehicle on the cargo bed, was her idea. Kroganar continues on, doing a lap around the vehicle, testing a few cargo straps and doing other visual checks. I fear very few things, he tells him, with a hint of a threat in his tone. But that thing? No way. He shakes his head fervently. Did she build the thing herself? She did, yes. It took her many months. It is like with most things here on Kavir, or the fringes in general. You either get lucky enough to find something that still works, or you build it yourself out of scrap and trash. Of course. He stops after finishing his last inspection, nodding to himself and looking directly at Frederick. You can also just pay someone to do it instead. But that costs money, Frederick guesses. Exactly, Kroganar rumbles, heaving himself up into the scrap loader's cockpit. and we do not have a lot of that at the moment. Flipping a few switches and turning a few knobs, the machine comes to life with the unmistakable whine of a gas turbine, spinning up, and the rubber cushion on the underside of the scrap loader begins to inflate. The machine sputters a few times as it wakes from its slumber, spitting smoke from its vents. "Could you open that gate for me?" Kroganar shouts over the noise, pointing at a barred metal gate. "Okay," Frederick shouts back, hurrying over. He quickly pushes the only button next to it, and the gate slides open, metal screaming against metal as it slowly grinds open. "Get in!" Kroganar beckons him from the cockpit, leaning over to open a door for him. Frederick quickly gets in and slams the door shut, the volume levels dropping instantly, as the near unbearable whining and drone of huge blowers and turbines turns into a muffled rumble instead. The cockpit feels a lot like a miniature bridge of a fishing trawler, mixed with your typical delivery truck interior. Size-wise, it leans more toward the latter, not the former. Frederick likes the way the machine rattles and vibrates underneath him. It reminds him of his motorcycle back home. "That was loud," he grins, taking off his backpack and putting it between his feet. "I do not mind it too much. My hearing is not what it used to be, and it never was that good to begin with," he laughs. "But it helps keep away most of the beasts out in the far reaches." "Yeah, I can see that." With a lurch, the elevator comes to a halt, and the doors open up to reveal the bright, snow-coloured surface of Kavir to them. A few snowflakes lazily drift down to the ground here and there, but the skies are almost perfectly clear today. "Are you ready?" Kroganar asks him. Frederick sighs. That's a good fucking question. On the one hand, he is definitely curious about the Newton, what's become of it, but he also has a lot of not-so-great memories from his recent times out here, some of which start at the surface at the sight of the snowy plains, and he battles with his rising anxiety for a moment. Frederick tentatively replies, with mixed feelings about being back out here again. But he has come prepared this time.